Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Lineup Lab. Today we're going to review the $400,000 Gold Glove Championship that happened last night. Pretty big tournament, usually filled with quite a few pros, and it was no exception last night. And a pro actually won. So I think there's a lot of things we can look into here. Just we can see how the pros make their lineups. We can look at my lineups, although they didn't fare very well. And just look at ownership and what we could have done if we knew ownership was going to be at certain rates that they were. So let's just go to the top lineup, which is this guy under Jones, and let's just analyze how he did his lineup. So he did a Toronto 5-stack using basically not getting creative at all, just using the top 5 guys in the lineup, which, it's nothing special. It's not like he didn't do anything that was out of the ordinary. He used Corey Kluber, who was super chalky, and Luke Weaver, who actually surprisingly ended up being chalky against a Brewers team that strikes out quite a bit. And it wasn't that creative a lineup. That being said, I like what he did here with the value plays at hitter, because there were some good value plays at hitter, and I think some of these guys are people that maybe lower stakes players might not even consider playing. Andrelton Simmons, I think, was a player that everyone would consider playing. He was leading off for the Angels against the lefty. He's only 2,600. I'm actually surprised his ownership was so low, but there just wasn't that much of a need to save money, so I guess it's not a total shock. But here, a couple of people who stand out here are Kelly Johnson, who I actually played in my lineup, by the way. He definitely is a good play. But someone that other people might have been like, Kelly Johnson, he was batting 8th. This doesn't make any sense. You're using him on his own. The thing is I try to say this a lot, is the skill of the hitter is one of the most important things. And Kelly Johnson is actually a pretty skilled hitter. He had a left and right matchup, and he's batting 8th, but he's only 2,700, and that's really great value for a hitter who, it looks like this season, 722 OPS. It's about right for him. In a matchup like this, he's going to do a lot better. So even though someone is batting 8th, it doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't use him. And in this case, it actually helped for Under Jones because he got 14 points out of a player who wasn't that owned and was really cheap. And the other one is Oswaldo Arcia, which may surprise you as well. He's batting 6th for the Padres. But he actually is a really, really skilled hitter and was batting 6th, but he's only 3,000, has some power. He obviously, to me, actually was also, he might have been, he was definitely, there we go, here he is, in my lineup as well. So you can see that, this isn't, that ridiculous, because these players are skilled, and when they're priced well and they're skilled, those are the players you want to supplement into your lineups, into your stacks, because they're guys who can hit home runs, they have good upside, and they're cheap. And it allows you to do a full Blue Jay stack and still have a lineup that has some upside. But I do want to talk about Luke Weaver being used at 60%, because this is something that I overlooked. And it wouldn't have worked if I did this. But I think when you're playing a small field tournament like this, let's say a single entry tournament, because probably if you're watching this video, you're not going to play a 1K tournament. But let's say you're playing like a $25 single entry, okay? Or a 3 entry. You're going to see things like this happen, where some guy who in a bigger GPP with a softer field might get 25% ownership, but he gets juiced up all the way to 60%. And, don't get me wrong, Luke Weaver was a good play. He's a young pitcher. He can get strikeouts, and it's just this Brewers matchup is just ridiculous at this point. Basically half their batters strike out, 20% or more. Keon Broxton, Chris Carter strike out probably, 30%. So anyone versus the Brewers at this point is just a ridiculous matchup. He also gets a lot of righties, and he had some good K splits here, which you would know if you signed up for DailyFantasyWinners and saw the pitcher splits tool. But so obviously it's a good play. That being said, And the reason his ownership percentage is jacked up is because he's so cheap. He's 40, I think it was 45 or 4,200 that night. Thing is, though, if he's going to be used 60%, and he's a young pitcher who has a lot of blow-up potential, he's on the road, he's at a hitter's park, it actually would have made a ton of sense to stack the Brewers. And my guess is that the EV of a Brewer stack would have been absurd in this tournament. Now, I didn't do it because I overlooked it, but the thing is at 60%, he has way more blow-up potential than Corey Kluber. Now, why wouldn't you do the same thing against Corey Kluber? Well, the problem with doing this against Corey Kluber is really good. So Corey Kluber, he's going to have a bad game. He's going to give up like 3 earned runs. And then the Cleveland bullpen is ridiculously good, so they're going to give up like a run. So this is like worst case scenario. This, on the other hand, the worst case scenario is like Milwaukee scoring 12 runs. So if you have a sense that, especially when you have a low salary pitcher in baseball who's getting a lot of buzz, he's going to be over-owned in a tournament like this. And if he's over-owned in a tournament like this, it means that someone is going to have a Brewers stack. And if that Brewers is stacked as well, there's a lot of leverage there. And, it wasn't as if there weren't some good pitching options as well. Like, for example, I really like Bartolo Colon. He got 6 righties against Miami. Miami's lineup is awful. It looks like he got 6 righties. Miami's lineup is awful. He's a guy who throws strikes and go innings. I can't believe this number. I mean, obviously it was 6,700 a little expensive. But if you went Cologne and Kluber and said Cologne probably had more upside at least than Weaver in terms of innings. So, I mean, Weaver obviously had more strikeout upside. But use a guy like Cologne, use a Brewer stack, even though they're going to be really expensive. And because DraftKings algorithm has to do with pitcher price raises the prices of everyone. But they're probably going to be like 0% owned. I wonder if anyone actually had them. And so I know I'm just beating a dead horse here, but if you're playing these single entry tournaments or you're playing high stakes tournament, I don't know, maybe you are, and you have the sense like, man, this guy Luke Weaver is getting a lot of buzz. He's really cheap. I think he's going to get like 40-50% ownership. He's someone that you can, this is the type of target you want to stack against in these tournaments, and it can pay off huge. It can pay off big time. So I think that was actually the plan of this tournament. I didn't do it. I'm upset. I ended up doing a red stack, which I actually regret in hindsight because I think they were probably, well, actually, no, they didn't get used that much, so maybe I was wrong, but they just didn't do well. And then I used a Met stack, which was super chalky, but using some guys in the bottom of the order, pairing with Cologne. I really like pairing with a pitcher in the NL because there's some synergy there. Mets hitters do well. Cologne can go more innings. He can get the win. He actually didn't get the win, but I definitely think that's something that's underrated, and I do quite a bit. But didn't do quite good enough, and that's okay. It happens to the best of us. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please click the subscribe button. Also, we have a new Daily Fantasy Winners chat room that is free, but it probably won't be free next week. So please use it while you can. And if you have any questions, tweet me at MaxJSteinberg. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys.